Hello and welcome to the Old Bob Show, produced and directed here at Vernon Communications in Westby. Westby is located in the beautiful western Wisconsin area of coulees and valleys and ridges. And we're happy to bring to you now the Old Bob Show, and here is your host, Bob Burrell. Hello and welcome again to the Old Bob Show. And Old Bob really gets around these days, and when you run a show like the Old Bob Show, you got to be ready to be alive on your feet and agile. As this morning on this particular taping, I had this guy lined up, and I'm not going to mention his name, but he never showed, and he knows who he is. But I'm going to give him a lot of leeway because he also is an EMS. And he's the fire chief of a certain local community and so forth, and we'll talk about him later. So what do? I'm sitting here and looking at Gene Burrell, who is our senior camera person, and at Randy, producer-director, and say, well, we just can't waste our time here, and give me 10 minutes and I'll be right back. So I jumped in the car and drove down the street, and my thought was, I'll go into a restaurant and grab somebody off the bench and we'll talk. Aha, a lot better thing happened. I mean, God has a plan. And the first store I saw, of course, was Dregne's. And I've been wanting to talk to Dave and Jana Dregne for some time in the Old Bob Show, so I thought, I'm just going to drive in. Dave Dregne over here on my right and Jana in the middle. These two people have been running a fantastic Norwegian cultural business now for almost 40 years. And here David is sitting there, and Jan is running the front desk as usual. And I said, wow, what a stroke of luck. I put my arm on David and said, perfect, let's go and talk. So here we are, and thank you so much, Jana, for being so quick and fast to be here. David, always good.
Anytime.
In fact, I talked to you about a year ago.
I believe you did.
Yeah, I did,
Yeah.
and he escaped me at that time.
I was pretty fast.
Well, everybody knows Dave and Jana and knows what incredible people you've been in running an incredible business here in Westby, Wisconsin, Dregne's. And I think the world knows about Dregne's as probably the spot for any kind of Norwegian cultural merchandise or what have you that you would like to have. And they've been running an incredible service, and not only for this area, but how broad an area do you serve in terms of your delivery and buying and selling?
Well, we do UPS every day for online orders or just call-ins or people visiting from out of state that need it shipped home. Mm-hmm. They don't want to take it on the planes for sure. And, we have the tourists come in from Norway by the busload. If they're coming to America, they're told they should see Westby, Wisconsin.
You bet.
They have troubles finding lesser grills in California, but, we can get them there.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Well, now look, 40 years, you're celebrating your 40th anniversary September?
26th.
26th, but that was 40 years ago you started, and how did that come about?
Ooh.
I haven't prepped David here. He doesn't need prepping.
We'd probably need another hour.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my brother-in-law and I decided to go into business.
That's Jan's brother.
No, my brother-in-law.
Oh, your brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And so we ended up buying the Flugsted hardware store.
The Flugsted.
Yeah, Foss.
Flugsted
and Foss.
Yeah. Well, Flugsted's an old.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a Flugsted store forever.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Was that Naomi Flugsted's family?
Oh, boy.
Brother and sister-in-law.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So we walked into a hardware store and went to work.
Can't believe. How old were you?
Oh, 28 or 7.
In that
Were
area.
you
Close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and were you and Jana companions at that time?
Yeah, married.
No. Okay. All right.
We've been married 3 years, actually.
Yeah.
And our son,
that before you started this.
yes.
Okay.
And our son was about 10 months old when we bought the business.
Wow. Wow.
And he now turned 40 last year, so we know we're celebrating 40 years.
You're telling me. Well, I'll tell you, all of you who have ever started your own business or been in business or worked with people who are in business know that's a huge risk. But at that age, you don't worry about the risk.
I had a hidden relationship as a child. My uncle, Al Salverson, had a coast-to-coast store in Cashton, and I went to a one-room schoolhouse, and you know, they
You
only
did-
could even my grade,
Yeah.
and my folks thought nothing about pulling me out of school.
That's
so,
right.
So every third to fourth week, we'd go to Uncle Al's hardware store to buy supplies, and I'd get pulled out of school at about 1:30 in the afternoon, and I had a blast at the hardware store. So here I go and buy a hardware store.
So how old were you at that when you were, you know,
Oh,
in school when you were
grade
pulled
school,
out?
yeah.
Yeah, I know.
8, 9.
I had the same experience, except I wasn't taken to a hardware store. I was taken to a field behind a team of horses.
Well, that came later for me.
Yeah, exactly. So you started in a hardware store, and,
Yes.
and then how did you evolve and shift over
That
into
is
a specialty?
comical because there was a small room we were designing for our Scandinavian gifts. We decided we were going to expand that really fast.
Right.
And so
yeah, look at that camera there.
we're both
Right there,
in that room working away one night late, and I told Jan, I said, you know, we should make this big room out there our Scandinavian gift store, and this little room our hardware store. And of course, we both laughed, and of course, down the road, it all came true. The whole thing is
Yeah.
gifts now.
Yeah, it was a vision.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, Violetta
thought.
Flugstad, bless her heart, I will always contribute our success and our direction to her.
This was Violet.
Violetta Flugstad,
Yeah.
she had taken over when her husband passed away, and she was just starting the Scandinavian aspect. She had one fixture of goods, and we took it from there, and she was so proud and happy to see
Oh,
us
my.
continue in that aspect.
Oh my.
And it's now been 15 years ago that we gave up on the hardware because the need was not there. We were still selling one fuse at a time, one light bulb at a time. That doesn't
yeah.
happen in today's world.
No,
So
that's
Vi
exactly
was
right.
a very pertinent part of our direction.
So, but you know, then you had to get material and supplies, and you know, you said, well, so where am I going to get all of this? So you had to develop a whole new relationship with people, with sellers and with providers.
Yeah, it's kind of automatic though, because you know every hardware store has got a chain involved, and we were FOK Hardware at that time.
Yeah.
So that took care of that. But what was the problem was the layout of the hardware store. You know, it was obsolete, and so.
But I'm talking about the Norwegian merchandise.
Oh well.
Well, yes.
Yeah, that we had to go and look up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
markets.
we put a lot of time into it, and we kind of chuckle when someone wants a list of our vendors. We say, "There's a way to do that, and you'll find out how."
Check
Exactly.
out a gift market. We go March and August because that's the only time of year that the Scandinavian wholesalers are at the markets.
Oh.
There's markets all year long, but we need our Scandinavian people there.
Right.
And very few of them have a catalog. Of course, some have online sites now. And they all say, well, just go online and place your order. Reality is, I deal with 327 companies.
Wow.
Over
Imagine.
100 book companies. And
That's
no
that's
computer.
incredible. I want to say that is really incredible. You know, 370 providers and suppliers for a little place in Westby that's renowned now all over because of the two of you. But it takes a while to do that.
Yes, it does.
Oh, yeah.
And but you know, as well as the merchandise that you get when you're dealing with that many, you also probably have a lot of frustrations from some of these people. Is that right or wrong?
Yes, because
Always.
we still like a paper catalog. You know, we do inventories before we go to the market. If you don't buy right, you can't sell right.
Right.
And you've got to compare apples to apples. You know, one company may be in California with a smaller minimum,
Right.
but shipping versus Minnesota with a larger minimum.
Yeah.
And freight is a big factor today. Wow.
What is?
Freight.
Freight.
Oh.
Or maybe offering a gift box.
I believe it.
If
I believe it.
a gift box with the item. Those two, freight and boxes, are an expensive item.
Yeah, and you know, and their prices don't go down.
No.
Exactly.
But that's one of the things people come for, especially a lot of our older folks. I mean, to have the gift boxed and wrapped, delivered to the wedding if they like, or even delivered to people buying in La Crosse.
Yeah.
You know, it's important that we do the service work for them. It's very vital.
Wow. Well, you know, if those of you who have walked into Dregne's knows how just unbelievably incredible your merchandise list is. It's out of this world, and I see things in there that I used to look at when I was a little boy, believe it or not, that they have on their shelves. But that's not all you do, which is dealing in merchandise. Now, I've been in there for book readings, for example, with Jerry Apps, for
Yes.
example. And you carry his books, but how do you line all of those kinds of features up?
Well,
Jan runs them down.
yes. I've already located 3 for our September 26th anniversary party, all new authors to us. When we go to the market, you know, you go into these showrooms, and sometimes authors are there.
Yeah.
And I work real hard to obtain them and get them to come to our fair city. Sometimes it requires a night at the Westby House, which is good to do because they get a taste of Westby.
Yeah.
And it's important that we offer all the different kinds of literature. We have libraries that come from Janesville and Kenosha and the Children's Center in La
Really?
Crosse.
Wow.
They don't find these books in the big box stores,
Yeah,
so to say.
yeah, I believe it. Wow, that's a custom tailored service, let me tell you. And you've got, and then of course you deal directly probably with some Norwegian vendors right from Norway, is that right? I mean, when I walk in here into Dregne's, here are beautiful sweaters. I mean, really beautiful sweaters. In fact, Jean has one of your sweaters.
she
yeah,
does.
yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
she does.
How is that relationship these days today as compared to 10 years ago or 15, 20 years ago? Are things changing?
Oh yeah, drastically. 10 years ago, our sweater room was 100% Norwegian. And today it's not because of production. Norway likes to build,
Yeah,
or
look at Jean's
Norway
camera
likes
there.
to,
There you go. There we are, good.
to create pullovers all the time, and I have a large clientele in this area that likes cardigans, including myself.
Yeah,
And they're making, I should say, the pullovers for the skiers out west, and they're doing a great, fantastic business. But
wow.
so that's what it has caused me to look around to other countries to find cardigan sweaters with Norwegian designs.
Yeah.
But there's always a good side to everything that's not so good because the price is a whole lot more reasonable.
Yeah,
And so that's where we're at today. Probably 40% Norwegian, and the other 60% is 4 or 5 other countries.
you know, Sutnamai, of course, is coming up, and Jeannie and I, and I'm sure Randy has too, but we've had a lot of experience with Sutnamai. A long time ago, we had Viking Media and Stoughton Cable, Motor Cable, etc. And so when Sutnamai was there, we had guests from Norway, and excuse me, but they were amazed. These guests from Norway then, and I'm sure today, were amazed that we were doing so much Norwegian, and that they don't do anymore in Norway. In other words, we are trying to nurture and to emphasize the Norwegian customs of a long time ago, which the new Norwegian, I get a feeling that they're up here somewhere, and they don't look upon their old customs, traditions, as friendly and affectionately as we do. Am I right or wrong on that?
Oh, that's very true. We have so many Norwegians that come to the store, busloads and individuals, and they will always say, "Why do you all come to Norway? We vacation in Thailand and Vietnam and Spain."
Yeah.
And we say, well, we like to check on our roots. We enjoy getting to know about our heritage.
Yeah.
And they're amazed with Westby in general. They go, you have it all under one roof. We go to each city for the product they're
right.
known for.
Right.
And they definitely aren't as conscientious about their heritage as we.
No.
And they admit it. They tell us openly, "You are more Norwegian in Westby than we." Yeah.
For instance, they have a...
Yeah, right.
They have
They've
a
got that.
one-day.
Yeah.
What's that?
They have a one-day Sutnamai celebration in Norway.
Yeah.
And we have 3 days, you know?
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, and we do it all over, many different states. You know,
Right, that's right.
Washington State, Seattle is a great settlement area, and you know, I remember with pleasure, and so does Janie. We were stationed out in that area, and so we belonged to a Norwegian church there in Olympia, Washington, and we had a lutefisk dinner. Yeah, and a good old-fashioned. I mean, that was many years ago. It was a Korean deal, many years ago, and boy, this Norwegian sat across from and he says, "Oh, yes, love lutefisk," and boy, he ate that lutefisk, you know. And so it goes on. I think that for some good reason, the heritage is being continually emphasized and brought forth from one generation to the next, just as is going to happen here in Westby, Stoughton, many other places, to celebrate Stoughton of Mine. Sure. Which brings us here to Westby, Wisconsin, and again back to Dregne's. What have you got going on there at Dregne's that will help in this celebration?
Well, Dave's in charge of the tractor pull, signage and posters.
You're in charge of the tractor pull, okay?
Well, involved heavily, yes.
Involved heavily, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And,
Are you driving? No,
No. I could, though.
we're in charge of getting the float, the biking ship that Westby is so proud and
terrific.
fortunate to have.
Terrific.
And, you know, we've been working at the store cleaning for 2 weeks already. Painting. There's all that last minute preparation and having the flags and the pins and all that they want. So it is, you know, a busy time for us, and we do close during the parade because we want to, that's the one thing we get to enjoy.
You bet, absolutely.
You know, a couple of years ago when we got to be parade marshals, that was the first time we had visited the entities going on because we're so busy in our own aspect of life.
Absolutely. It's a 12-month business.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, you know. I mean, when you come out of the field on your crop insurance, you're back into the store.
2 hours fishing last year. Not good.
Well, you know what? My grandson and I were walking through our trout stream on our farm, loaded with fish. So you're welcome to come and
don't go there.
Yeah.
Just right size.
Exactly. Exactly. But that's the way it is when you have your own business. And like with you, David, you've got 2 businesses, and I always felt it was good to have something on the side like that. You know, not just a core business, but something else. But wow, you've got 2 core businesses here.
Yes.
Have you, each of you, ever had a real difference of opinion as to the direction of this store?
Is that a joke? That's every day.
No, many people marvel that how do you work with your husband all the time, or him with his wife, and you know, we'll be married 44 years. I said, that doesn't seem incredible to me, but being in business 40 years does.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's a miracle, but it's also a gift from God because to work together, you know, and make things go, that's an art as well as a lot of affection for each other.
Yeah, thank goodness for the other business I can leave.
There you are. There you are. You put your, exactly. Well, now, you're going, you know, again, as I said, when you walk into Dregne's, there's not just one item, there's a zillion of them. And you have a statement about that in terms of keeping your business going, and that is...
Yes, and it just escaped me.
Diversification.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
See, I got to be there sometime.
But diversification is a fact of life. So many independent Scandinavian stores have gone away.
Yeah, go ahead.
And because the prices from Scandinavia keep going up, and if we did not have the variety, you know, some days we sell all books, some days we sell lace, some days we sell
not a problem.
A Duke's mixture of everything. And that's what keeps us there. If the diversification and the change, you have to roll with the economy and make the change of direction in your stores. So, you know, people walk in and they think that you bought in a new product. Well, we've just rearranged one more time.
Yeah.
You keep thinking you're done with that, but it never stops.
Never stops. I'll tell you, you know, business, especially your kind of business, it's an alive organism. And it keeps changing. And sometimes it's youthful and sometimes it's kind of ancient and what have you. A story about that call that came in, that was from Russ Cornford. And I knew what happened. He was scheduled to be here today, and this is why, you know, Dave and Jana are here out of the goodness of their hearts. Cornford had the usual. He had an emergency. Now, he's done that a couple of times with me. So, Next time I'm going to go pick him up. But I have to say that God has a plan because, boy, this is fantastic that you two could be here with us.
Oh, thank you.
And all of you know Dave and Jana Dregne and running this, operating, owning, and nourishing this beautiful Dregne store here in Westby, Wisconsin. You've got a 40th annual party
Yes.
scheduled.
Right, September 26th. It'll be our 40th year.
That's a Saturday?
That's a Saturday.
Okay.
It's a one day, and we have a great time. We have Grandma comes and does a whole lot of demo cooking for
Grandma?
everybody.
Did you say grandma?
Grandma?
My mother bakes.
Mother?
No
yeah.
kidding. How old is she?
She'll be 87.
87?
She does
Wow.
flatbread and krum kaka, and
Oh,
we
no
treat
kidding.
them all lunch.
Krum kaka. Oh.
Yes, and we have rose mauling, carvers, hardanger, oil
Wow.
painting,
Represents.
authors.
Wow.
It's a party, live music.
Oh,
We've had
my.
Buddy Rundhagen, we've had the Norskadalen Trio.
Yeah.
I've got somebody else wanting to come in for a couple hours this year and plays guitar. So it's just a real social event, and probably 300-400 people on that one day.
I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't
So-
doubt that at all. And of course, yeah, I mean, it'll be a real attraction.
We go after our vendors for 40 years, and they're very generous because we've been very loyal to them, likewise.
Yeah.
So they give us very nice door prizes. And we
Wonderful.
give ourselves, we give a Norwegian sweater, and so the prizes are worth taking home.
You bet.
Yes.
Absolutely. So are you doing all of this in your store?
Yes.
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 Boy, oh boy.
Yes, we find a niche for everyone.
I can believe it. I
They
can
get squeezed
believe
in the corners.
it. Well, this is really interesting, and it raises another question in my mind. And I mean, I hate to even think like this, but what about store security and keeping track of all your merchandise when you have anyone walking in there? I mean, I've been tempted to say, here's that nice little Nissan. I know I'd get caught.
Yes.
It's too late in my life to do that.
There's
Yes.
far less problem than when we were hardware.
Yeah.
Hardware, we would be missing fish
No
hooks
kidding.
and
Wow.
all sorts of things
Wow.
like that. But reality is, I think it's the caliber of the customer and the age. We find that most of them come to us wanting assistance. You know, if they've got a question, we're there. But I believe in letting people see the place because it takes more than 5 minutes
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
go through. And those men sitting out in the car honking the horn just drive us nuts.
There you are. I know. Yeah. Well, your merchandise is like kind of walking into a museum or into just a specialty, literally open public place. But the merchandise is so quality, and I'm not
you.
putting that on. It's quality, and I even kind of hate to touch it for fear I might break something. But
We're more apt to break it than you when we're cleaning. We're constantly cleaning.
So that'll be on September 26th. That's not far off, folks. Time is moving here. As we speak, we're heading for the middle of May, believe it or not. Now, on the other aspect of all of this is, one of the privileges is when you're dealing in such beautiful products like this is to go directly to the supplier. In this case, you think about Norway, but as David said, it's not Norway. But do you have a chance to go back to the old country at all?
As far as the store and buying, it doesn't really work because there's two different kinds of business: importers or retails. I mean, and that's the way it is. Because the one time we were on vacation in Norway, of course, our luck was so fortunate there was a buying show going on, so we chopped a day off of our vacation and went to work. And at the end of the day, we had found a few items, but we were very pleased that our exporters are doing a very efficient job.
Right.
And actually, when we visited Norway, we were shocked because we have 95% of what was available, what we saw on that trip.
Yeah.
We just kept thinking we're going to find new things and bring home to our customers and friends, and there wasn't that much to have.
Extra.
Well, I'll tell you, and Dregne's is literally the seat of Westby here, right on the corners down here as you drive through. And you've seen others businesses come and go, I'm sure, in those 40 years, huh?
All four corners changed 40 years ago, and
Yeah.
we're all
Yeah,
excited.
but you're also you're a core, both of you, of keeping businesses going in Westby, and one of those deals is Morgan's, because Morgan's at one time closed. Not too many years, not too long ago, was it?
No, about 6.
Yeah, and the story there behind all of that is that David and Jana and who else were involved saying, we need to get Morgan's back.
Well, my brother-in-law, Russ Hansen, put an ad in the paper, and 40 people, locals, showed up to this meeting.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of the new Morgans. We formed a corporation and end the story. We all rolled up our shirt sleeves and went to work and donated all our time. And
Yep.
I painted the outside of the Morgans, got the paint, and I mean, that was pretty minor to what a lot of local guys worked.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know, and there's the story. Dave and Jana Dregne have done a beautiful job in making their own business go a service for everyone here in the whole area as well as the world. But at the same time, they've been extremely generous, as so many people do here in this whole area, of helping keep a community going. And boy, that's so important to be that generous and to help other people, literally in a sense, maybe even become competitive. But I think that's one of the gracious things about this whole area, and we feel it when, you know.
It's vital.
Exactly.
We have to help each other.
Yeah, yeah.
We're small.
Yep, yep. Thank you so much.
Thank
For
you.
being guests.
you.
I'll give you a ride home again.
Hey, that would be nice.
It's raining.
Yeah, I know it.
Thank you, Bob.
Oh, you're most welcome. Dave and Jana Dregne, wow, what a pleasure to sit with them, and a pleasure. I'm looking forward to that 40th anniversary on the 26th, but also to the Sutnamai that's going to be here before we know it. Thank you, Gene Burrell, for taking care of the good camera work, and you, Randy, for taking care of producing and directing Vernon Communications. Always great to provide the studio. You have a good day and a good weekend, and God bless.